It's been a busy couple of days in a New York City courtroom as former President Donald Trump defends himself in a fraud trial. Trump is accused of overvaluing several of his properties and inflating his worth.
Joining us to break down everything that's happened and why we won't see the former president back in the courtroom until he testifies is Queen City News chief legal expert Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, a lot to unpack here. The gag order we know that Trump's under, and then he won't come back until he testifies. Why is he taking that time away from the court?
Well, this was part, hearing, but part campaign stop, obviously. So I think that's where we first need to start. And then I've watched a lot of trials and a lot of major trials. O.J. Simpson, that's probably the biggest one I can think of that I followed like every day. This case is extremely weird. I mean, he's taking these breaks in the middle of the court session to have these campaign rallies in the hallway where he's making these attacks on the attorney general, on the judge, on anyone else that will be standing there to listen. And so I knew that it was only a matter of time until he overstepped. I think the attorney, Lita James, and her team did a great job not addressing his comments directly head on until after the judge made his gag order or kind of that morning before. But when he makes a personal attack on the judge's staff, trying to make a connection that she was Schumer's girlfriend, that was an overstretch. And then you got to think about technology. What we're seeing right now is happening in real time. The time date, the stamp was he was liking this post or making this post while sitting in the courtroom. And so, I mean, it's not like we have to wait 4 or 5 days for it to happen. It's happening in real time. To say we're in uncharted territories is an understatement. This is something that we've never seen. And the judge, I think, handled it the best way that he can. It's his job to manage the case. It's his job to be the referee, to make sure that he keeps control. And this was getting out of control. You don't make personal attacks on the staff. You don't make comments that disparage the judge. He really didn't take that personally, but his staff, they take that extremely personally. I was on the judge's staff. My judge treated me like I was his son. So if someone would have said that about me, we didn't have social media. But if they would, my judge would have took him to task and would have for sure put a gag order in.
What is at stake here for the former president? Because we haven't seen him in the courtroom for many of these other cases that are lingering.
I mean, this is more about reputation. I mean, if you can make it in New York, you can make it everywhere, right? And so if you've said that I've made it there as this billionaire and my name is plastered on all these buildings, I have to be there and protect my name. And so I knew that he would be there at least for a few days to show that, hey, I'm here, I'm fighting, I'm not running away from this fight. But now that his hands have been kind of tied, his mouth has been restricted just a little bit, he's like, well, I'll be somewhere else. He said, I'd rather be in Iowa right now, and I'd rather be anywhere but here. And that made sense because right now the judge has kind of reeled you in a tad bit. But I thought that it was exactly what I would expect for him to do at this moment, which is I have to defend my name. Trump Tower, Trump Plaza, Trump anything means something. And so if you're attacking me and saying that I was fraudulent, that my business dealing have given me some upper hand, no, I want to make sure I let you know I'm not running, I'm here to fight. But the personal attacks, I think the judge let them know they have to stop.
How tough is it to represent somebody like Trump, given the campaign and everything going on? I know we're tight on time here, but it's a tough task, right?
I mean, it's a tough task when you're representing anyone that's a powerful individual. If you're talking about a politician, a sports person, someone that has already a lot of money and a lot of power, because it's hard to advise them. They've hired you to advise them on something, and I've represented a number of folks that are influential individuals. And when you give them advice, you can see they weigh it and balance it different than another individual would. I can only imagine when you're giving the former president information, advice, counsel on how he should respect and respond in court, it's probably extremely hard for him to digest it and to receive it because you see he's went through a number of attorneys over the years. In this case, he went through a number of attorneys. In his 5 or 6 other cases, he went through attorneys. Moving forward, it will be his attorney's job of managing his expectations and managing the difference between a campaign stop and a court hearing, because they're 2 separate things. While we do have the court of public opinion, this case, A, has already been decided. We're just talking about liability. How much will you have to pay? The judge said it's a paper trail. The paper trail shows you guys have already committed some type of fraud. Now, is it $250 million? Is it $600 million? We don't know. That's what we're deciding. And it'll take us maybe a next month and a half to figure that portion out.
All right, Khalif Rhodes, we appreciate you. We will see you in our next half hour. We've got a couple more topics to get through.